Hello, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. My name is Faiz Imran Bin Ahmad and I will present to you about code of ethics which is done in engineering. So first we go to the code of ethics. What is mean by code of ethics? Code of ethics is a set of statements about appropriate and expected behavior of members of an organization and as such reflects its primary values and ethical standards. So we go to the comparison differences between code of ethics, code of conduct and standard operation procedure which is called SOP. So this is the code of ethics definition. So the definition of code of conduct is a set of rules outlining the norms, rules and responsibilities or proper practices of an individual party or an organization. While the definition for SOP is a set of step-by-step instructions compiled by an organization to help workers carry out routine operations. So the impact of the code of ethics is it governs decision making, while the impact of code of conduct and SOP is its govern actions. The aim of code of ethics and code of conduct is to help professionals conduct business honestly and with integrity, while the aim for SOP is to achieve efficiency, quality output, and uniformity of performance while reducing miscommunication and failure to comply with industry regulations. So next we go to the code of ethics example. Employees to always take responsibility for decisions made both individually and in a team, which means the code of ethics here is about responsibility. So next we go to the code of conduct example. Don't sign on accuracy-like documents unless, where necessary, you has met qualifications on errors and inaccuracies. So we can see that from the code of ethics of responsibility, the code of conduct will govern action, which is to make sure that you are responsible. So we go to the SOP example. Every document must be approved by the professional engineer with practicing certificate of the company before appointment with client. So we can see from the code of conduct, it governs the and effect the code of SOP, which is to maintain the efficiency of the company. So next we go to the first done in engineering. About first point is about registration. Under the Registration of Engineers Act 1967, Act 138, it is a requirement of the law that any person providing engineering services be a qualified person and registered with the Board of Engineers Malaysia. So first we go to the design point. So first don't be a submitting person for designs beyond your area of competency. Example, if you are competent in design of low voltage substation, don't submit a design of mid voltage or high voltage substation. Next, we go to the sign or stamp point. Don't approve your professional engineer stamp or sign reports or plans that not prepared by you or not under your supervision. Example, so this is a situation. You are a chief engineer in a company with many professional engineer and graduate engineer. There are too many designs to be checked and they don't stamp their own design and they also seek approval from you. So, what the ethical things to do? You only allowed to approve document under your supervision or after you have checked it thoroughly, where the technical elements in it is approved by other professional engineer. So next we go to the partnership. An engineer should not enter into partnership with any party not permitted under the Engineers Act. Example, you have partnership with terrorists to supply them design of substation. So don't do that. Next we go to the consultancy. An engineering consultancy practice should not provide professional services in any branch of engineering where none of its directors are registered to practice in that branch of engineering. Example, if you are professional in power system, don't give service in telecommunication and etc. Which means you just only permitted to do your professional works in your own professional area only. So next we go to the practice. Don't practice in the branch of engineering that you're not registered in. Example, if you are registered as an electrical engineer, don't do oil and gas engineering job scope. Just do your own stuff. Next, we go to the point of consultancy. In the Registration of Engineers Act 1967, revised 2002, provision, which means delivering services, is included for the registration of accredited checkers and the requirement of continuing professional development (CPD) beginning year 2005. So first, we go to the first point, work checking. For checker engineer, don't check works that is not your competency. Example, if you are not familiar with PLC design, which is programmable logic controller design, then don't accept the checking works. Next, we go to the project's fee. For engineering consultant, don't carry out projects for fees below the minimum outline of fees. Example, if the project's fee is at 200,000 ringgit, don't take the projects if the fee is below than the barrier. This is to avoid you from having loss. Next, we go to the approval. Don't endorse or approve any work that not performed or supervised by you. Next, we go to the point of replace engineer. Don't replace another engineer. Example, if your fellow engineer offer you to replace his ongoing projects, decline it as you don't know the full details or situations. Next, we go to the point of public safety. Don't compromise on public safety. Always prioritize public safety during works. Next, we go to the point of opinion. Don't offer your opinion in engineering matters unless you have full facts to support your opinion. Example, don't give opinion to other people on engineering matters that you are not sure about it. False informations are dangerous. Next, we go to the point of design. Don't base your design on unverified data. Example, don't use measurement data that is not verified before you use it for your design. Next, we go to the point of Conflict of interest. Don't have any conflict of interest whatsoever in connection with the work you are taking unless prior approval from BEM and client are obtained. Example. So this is a situation example. Engineer A, which is a professional engineer, works as the director of the local government building department. He also has a part-time sole engineering practice and prepares a set of structural engineering drawings for client X. The drawings must be approved by the local building department. He does not participate in the review or approval of the drawings, but his assistant, who is Engineer B, who also a professional engineer, reviews and approves the engineering drawings prepared by Engineer A. So the reason why it is unethical is because Engineer A doesn't take serious about his employer and prioritize his own part-time job than his main job. Trust issue will happen. So next, you go to the regular works. Don't accept work outside your regular work without the express permission of your employer. Example, if it is your first time to do site visit, ask for your employer's permission first before you go. Next, we go to the point of supervision. Uniform Building by Law 5 UBBL 5 states that supervision must be provided by the submitting engineer to ensure that the works carried out are as intended in the design. Delegation of supervision is permitted, but the responsibility of this supervision still rests with the submitting engineer. So we go to the first point of work progress. The work progress must not over or under certify progress of work. Example, if you are given a task to do wiring of lamps in a school, make sure the number of lamps are exactly as the agreed tender, no less, no more. Next, we go to the point of certifications. Don't make wrongful or false certification. Example, don't approve a design that you know the design is incomplete or have flaws. Honesty is the best policy. Next, we go to the point of expertise. Don't certify work not within your expertise. Example, if you are not an expert in manufacturing design, so don't certify the design offered to you. Next, we go to the point of site supervisor. Don't accept site supervisory staff who are not qualified or are incompetent. Next, we go to the point of approval. Don't delay approvals without justification or reasons. Next, we go to the point of inspection. Don't intentionally delay inspection of works. So next, we go to the point of regulatory requirements. All engineers registered with the Board of Engineers Malaysia must be familiar with the requirements of the Registration of Engineers Act 1967, Act 138, and its subsequent amendments. Ignorance of the requirements of this act is no defense in the courts of law in Malaysia. Regulatory requirements is a rule that a government entity imposes on an organization. So first point, we go to the proceed of works. Don't allow works to proceed before plans are submitted to and or approved by the relevant authorities. Next, we go to the point of legal requirements. Don't undertake a project for which the client is not going to fulfill statutory or legal requirements. Example, bright sparklers disaster, which is built illegally nearby residential area. So we can see that the location of the bright sparklers Sendirian Berhad is surrounded by the residential area, and this is illegal in the law. So next point, we go to the code of ethics. All engineers are expected to uphold the integrity of the profession by behaving in a manner expected of him in the code of conduct of engineers. So we go to the point of solicit. Solicit. Don't give solicit, which means ask for or receive either directly or indirectly any political contribution, gratuity or unlawful consideration in order to secure work exclusive of securing salaried positions through employment agencies. Explanation. You should build your professional reputation on the merit, which means your own achievements of your services, and shall not compete unfairly with others. So next we go to the point of misrepresented information. Don't mislead the public by giving misrepresented information so as to gain commercial advantage. Example is product scammer. So next we go to the point of favoritism. Don't practice favoritism among vendors and other suppliers. So this is some indicators of workplace favoritism. First is give certain employees better treatment within your workplace. Second is socialize with certain employees more. Assigns desired tasks to certain employees. Provides more development opportunities for certain employees. Gives certain employees more frequent and timely feedback. Let certain employees get away with actions that other employees would be reprimanded for. Considers the suggestions of only certain employees. Praise certain employees more. Supports certain employees more. Gives important work related information only to certain employees, and excuses certain employees for unproductive behaviors. So if you face these problems, which means it is indicator that your workplace is doing favoritism. So this is unethical. So next we go to the engineers. So this is a code of conduct of registered person, which Fahmi has presented. There are five type of registered person in BEM. So in exercise of the powers conferred, which is powers bestowed by paragraph 4 bracket 1 bracket F of the Registration of Engineers Act 1967 Act 138, the Board of Engineers Malaysia hereby determines the code of conduct of registered person as stated here. This circular supersedes, which means replace, circular number 3 slash 2005 guidelines for code of professional conduct BEM RDPPC 08. This code of conduct is in addition to part 4 code of conduct of the registration of engineers regulations 1990. So for the full full law of code of conduct, you can go to the website. You can check it on the website of BEM. They have post the PDF file for you to see it. So there are five type of registered person in BEM. First is professional engineer with practicing certificate. This is the stamp for the registered person for the PEPC. Next is professional engineer. So this is the stamp or seal for the professional engineer. Next we go to the graduate engineer, which is we as a undergraduate student. Later on, after we graduate, we will become graduate engineer. Next, we go to the engineering technologies. So this is the seal for the engineering technologies, professional technologies. So next, we go to the seal of inspector of works. So for these five type of registered person, there are code of conduct that must be followed. The first point is qualification. Registered person not to falsify qualification or etc. So the first point of qualification is misrepresentation. 1. Don't falsify qualification or allow qualification misrepresentation of you or your associates. 2. Don't misrepresent or exaggerate your responsibility of past assignments. 3. Don't misrepresent relevant facts concerning employers, employees, associates, joint ventures, or past accomplishments. Explanation. 4.1. Don't lie about your or your friend's qualification. 4.2. Don't give false info about your past works or achievements. So for number 3 is don't give false info that related to other people or interested parties. So next we go to the point of sign. This is for all except inspector of works. Don't sign on accuracy lack documents unless where necessary you has met qualifications on errors and inaccuracies. Next we go to the point of projects. This is for professional engineer with practicing certificate. Don't sign or stamp the engineering documents for an entire project unless the sub-content of the document is stamped personally by qualified person who also in the project. Which means don't take the entire project responsibility on yourself. Next, we go to the point of opinion. Don't express publicly technical opinions that are not founded upon your competence and knowledge of the facts in the subject matter. Next, we go to the point of issue. So, don't issue any statement, criticism, or argument on technical matters that are inspired or paid for by interested parties, unless you have prefaced your comments by explicitly identifying the interested parties on whose behalf you are speaking and by revealing the existence of any interest you may have in the matter. So, for the example, so the explanation is before you want to argue or critique other people's technical matter, such as project managing or data analysis, you must state clearly the involved person that you speak for, and state clearly the reason behind your criticism, including your own personal intent. So the point means engineers shall issue public statements only in an objective and honest manner. So next, we go to the point of supervision. Registered person to certify work only if he has control over supervision or etc. So the first point is information leakage. Don't reveal facts, data or information without the prior consent, which means knowledge of the client or employer, past and present, except as authorized or required by law, or when the withholding of such information is contra to the safety, health, and interest of the public. So next we go to the point of contractor. This is applied for graduate engineer, engineering technologists, and inspector of work. Don't issue instructions to the contractor or give verification or approval to works carried out by the contractor unless you has been authorized by the engineer or employer. So last point is benefit. Registered person not to accept benefit from more than one party or etc. So the first point is solicit 1.0. Don't solicit or accept any consideration, financial or otherwise, directly or indirectly, from outside agents in connection with the work for which he is responsible, which means don't accept bribe. So if someone said it's not a bribe, it's a donation, but he want uh he want a reward for the donation, it mean it is a bribe. A donation is a sincere giving, not not a giving that you hope for reward. So next we go to the solicit 2.0. If you are a director or advisor of a company, don't participate in decision with respect to professional engineering services solicit, solicited or provided by you or your organization. This basically means you don't use the company, don't use your authority in the company to solicit. Next, we go to the solicit 3.0. If your staff also serves as a member of an agency, don't solicit or accept contract from that agency unless with knowledge and consent of the agency. This is means to avoid treacherous activity. Treacherous in Malay we call it khianat or betrayal activity. So next we go to the facility or overtime. So this is applied for inspector of work. Don't abuse, which means improper use, facilities on site or seek overtime payment, except it is given to you. So that's all for me for the dawn in engineering. May ethics be with you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh.